Well, good evening, Denver Bronco fans, and welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Keith Brugman. I have with you this evening this post-game show, final post-game after week 18, 17th game in the books. Final post-game show for us this year. Well, final post-game for, I imagine, every podcast out there for the Denver Broncos. But again, my name is Keith. I've got Albert Mile High Dutchy. I have Trevor Salzman here. Welcome to in, gentlemen. Albert, how are you doing to start, man?
I'm doing good. We now can finally say the season is over and hope that the new year will bring some new stuff in it. And we'll talk about it in a little bit. But yeah, it was an embarrassing game that we just saw. But more on that later.
More on that shortly, very shortly, man. We're going to have to bring that up first and foremost. But first and foremost, I got to say hello to our other co-host, Mr. Trevor Salzman. Trevor, how you doing, sir?
Oh, not too bad, Keith. I mean, again, it's not exactly the outcome that we wanted, but we kind of thought this might be the final result, for a game show. So it's obviously it's really disappointing, but again, hopefully, like Albert said, 2024 better days for Denver Bronco fans and Broncos country in general, because this ain't it.
This ain't it. All right, man. Well, summing up in 3 words, this ain't it, man. We were all hoping for something a little bit different. We were hoping for a winning season, our first since 2016 it would have been. We had to wait for that yet another year, guys. It wasn't a very good look out there. Wasn't a very good look. But Albert, I'm going to jump right over to you, man, because you dropped it. You dropped it and used the word embarrassing. So I want to get your thoughts on that. I do want to get a couple of comments in. I believe this is Adam coming in here. That's usually the response I get from Adam. But StreamYard.com/Facebook can always help out, or YouTube, guys. If you're over there on YouTube, you got your little profile, go over there, check us out over there as well. He's saying, "What's good, family? What a job y'all did this year. 2024 is bright." And well, thank you very much, man. It's been a year, and very thankful. We're always thankful for you guys, man. You guys are first and foremost why we're here, why we do what we do. And maybe even take a little guff along the way, because right now it's been tough being a Broncos fan and coming up with the right decisions. Ernie Mays is coming in saying it was a miserable game, but go Broncos country only. Hello, all three. And hello to you, Ernie. Thank you so much. We're going to be joined by a fourth here really quick, but I do want to, like I said, want to jump over to Albert. I'll get his thoughts, and then I'll be bringing in our guest as well. Albert, embarrassing was the word you used, man. Elaborate on what you saw out there versus the Las Vegas Raiders tonight.
How many of the offensive plays were so predictable? The Raiders defense knew exactly what was going on. Cam Fleming, why didn't he get support? He was the biggest problem on our O line today.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Garrett Bowles is done with Sean Payton. He doesn't want to play. It looks like he doesn't want to play here anymore. He was not on his best. Yeah, and the offense was horrible. There were some really good guys in there. And I have to give kudos to Williams. He tried. I have to give kudos to Quinn Minus. To me, and I still think it is an embarrassment for the NFL that he did not get a Pro Bowls choice. He is only what they call it, a replacement or something like that. Alternate, and that is an embarrassment for the NFL. I think he's the top 3 right guard in the league, maybe even better than that. Yeah, but all in all, it was laughable offense that we saw. The Jared Stidham should not get any credit to any of the touchdowns, because that was pure on effort of the catches. And so yeah, that's where I'm at. And our defense, I don't know what to say about them right now.
Yeah, that's one place I would be willing to pick on first and foremost as well, would probably be that defense. But I'm not going to pick on this guy. I'm going to bring him right into the show, man. I'm going to bring in our co-host. Well, it seems like he's our co-host. Well, that's because we adopted him. It's the stepfather. It's Kenny Kirkpatrick from the K&K Sports Show. Welcome in. How you doing, sir? It was a tough win for an adopted fan here, or a tough loss, I
win
should
for
say.
you guys. I'm not gonna lie. I watched some of it, and I had to watch some of the Giants because
Oh
the reason I
boy.
wanted to come on today is because you adopted me, and I've been a Bronco fan, rooting for you guys all year. And what I saw was a tale of two teams today, and I'll compare my Giants to your Broncos. I saw a Giants team today that wanted to go out and play hard for their coach, and I saw a Broncos team that showed no effort for their coach. Defense gave up, like Albert said. Offensively, Fleming getting beat. Offensive line, you need a lot of help. And you know what? My short term here is you may see Russ back next year because I'm starting to see it wasn't Russ's fault, guys. Stidham was taking sacks. Maybe it wasn't Russ's fault. So maybe George Payton steps up, talks to the Penners. He's not getting fired now. Maybe George Payton steps up, talks to the Penners and say, hey, we gave this guy a contract. Do we really want to give up $85 million in dead cap? Double of what it's been in history. Matt Ryan was the biggest one, $42 million. You got to think about this, guys. You really got to think about this because any quarterback you bring in next year, that $10 million can go to a playmaker, whether it's an offensive wide receiver, a running back, or an offensive lineman, which you need all three. And that $10 million can go to a playmaker. And you know what? I'm afraid we're going to lose Saquon Barkley, and that would be the perfect guy for your Broncos with any quarterback, and that includes Russell Wilson. So
boom shakalaka.
Think in the offseason, George Payton, step it up and say to put the foot down and stop being a puppet and go to the Penners and bring back Russ.
Strong words from the stepfather, man, and along a topic I want to get to as well, but man, I can't jump in front of my co-host here. Got to get in and get Trevor's thoughts. The game or everything that Kenny just laid on us right now, whatever way you want to go, because I'm going to head that way right after you're done, but if you don't head that way yourself. So
yeah, I mean, again, where do you start with this game? I mean, again, to me, I'd say these players quit on Peyton. I just don't think this team is talented enough. I mean, that's what it comes down to, talent, and you just don't have talent on this team right now. I mean, you don't have very much of it, and that's on both sides of the ball. Again, Sean Payton's offense continues to struggle this season. It's a major red flag. Even, where's the spark? Like Jody would say if he was here right now, where's the spark with Stidham? There hasn't been a spark since they put him in, and you could tell that last weekend when they played the Chargers. And that was a horrible pass, defense gets the pass, and what the Broncos had to show for it, not much. So, this game, it just, again, 8 straight losses to the Raiders. No running game. We had 48 rushing yards and 20 attempts today. That's not going to get the job done no matter who the quarterback is. So, again, offensive line struggling in pass pro. Again, I don't understand the whole Cam Fleming and Max Crosby one-on-one, going one-on-one against each other. You've had no help with Cam Fleming there, and you're going to get beat 80% of the time, probably even 95% of the time when you have Max Crosby, one of the premier passers in the league, and you can't even double him, you can't chip him, you're not doing anything. When you have chipped him and you have double-teamed him, then Stidham had time to throw. He never had time to throw all day. So right there and then, that's just not helping your quarterback one bit. No running game, and then you had Max Crosby just dominating all game. He stopped you just himself pretty much for the most part of the game. You can argue that Max Crosby was the reason this offense couldn't get going at all. That's another reason why this offense couldn't get going. I mean, again, Russ isn't the problem, no doubt about it. I just think it's a talent issue. This team hasn't had enough talent. We've talked about it over the past 3 off seasons now. This team has given up picks and just given them away for a coach and a quarterback that you're not getting anything back in return for. It's just not panning out one bit. That's what happens when you give draft capital away. You take those chances away to make your roster better and get young, controllable players. This team they don't have that right now. They have holes everywhere on the roster, and they're just doing the patch jobs every year now because you don't have early round draft picks to make this team roster and make this team more talented where it's at. And again, the wide receiver room, again, it's not as great as everyone thinks because they're not getting open either. I mean, that's part of the problem. This whole situation is, yes, the offensive line breaking down, but it's also wide receivers aren't getting open nowhere near is where they should be, in my opinion. That's why you're starting to see Stidham and Russ now. You're starting to see these quarterbacks take as many sacks as they have. That's part of the problem, I think, in this solution.
Very good, man. A lot to unpack there, man. But I want to come on first and foremost, kind of like I did last show, guys, and say absolutely, Russell Wilson should be the quarterback. Shouldn't have been an option to put $85 million in dead cap even on the table to begin with. I never thought that was the best option. That can't be the best option. Stidham showed me zero as far as the ability to outplay what we have for a record this year, an 8-9 record. I mean, I think he'd be lucky if we were talking a 6-11 record, next year with Jarrett Stidham. It doesn't make sense to move on from Russell Wilson. If there is a chance to get him back in the fold, I'm not expecting anything. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Russell Wilson is a top-level quarterback that's going to lead us deep in the playoffs and possibly get us into the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that, but I'm not saying that it makes sense to give up $85 million and go backwards right now. It doesn't make that much sense. It doesn't make sense to probably have anybody but Russell Wilson be your starter next year. I think you need to find a means to an end, a bridge to get someplace else. I don't think that Russell Wilson's the answer, but taking the lumps that we're taking, looking at Jarrett Stidham and saying that's your best option to get out of the cap hell that you're going to put yourself in with Russell Wilson is ludicrous. So whether it be George Payton growing a little bit of a pair, as Kenny was kind of alluding to, whether it be Sean Payton coming to the realization that I shouldn't put this team in this position, whether it be the Penners, whether it be Russell Wilson himself, they should all get together and try to make this work. That's option A, number one, in my opinion, guys. Simple as that. So this game, hey, I said it from the very beginning. I thought the Broncos were going to lose this game. I was hoping it was going to be closer. I called for a 27-24 loss. Didn't end up getting anywhere close to that for the Denver Broncos. The running game, as you guys mentioned, nothing. How much pressure did we get from the defensive line on Aiden O'Connell? Nothing. This team is not good in the trenches. We have maybe one or two good players that reside there. I'll give Quinn Miners a pass. Quinn Miners is a guy that should be on this team. I really think that Lloyd Cushenberry has made steps, but I don't think it's as big as a lot of people make it out to be. So the dollars he's going to demand for the performance that I see, no thank you. I thought Ben Powers had one of his better games out there. Of course, Cam Fleming was blown out by one of the best pass rushers in the league, and we just allowed it to happen. And Garrett Bowles played meh. But if I look at DJ Jones, if I look at Zach Allen, if I look at Mike Purcell, if I look at the interior of this defense, they did nothing to help this team. So in the trenches is where we need to look. We need to try to work this out with Russell Wilson if it's at all possible. That's what I'm going to be hoping for, banging the table for, guys. As much as I said, hey, Stidham is the direction we should go next year. When I was on the record saying that, guys, that was always with the idea that I never wanted it to go like this. It's what do you do now? And hopefully we can rewind and we don't have to worry about what do we do now. So, guys, off season, there's going to be a lot of different things that we need to look at. Kenny, you're our guest, man. How do we start attacking this off season? And do you think that we have a chance to get Russell Wilson back in the doors, back in as our starting quarterback? Is that truly an option here in your mind?
To answer your second question, yes, I do. Because these 2 weeks have not showed, like you all said, not showed anything. And this isn't towards the three of you. This isn't towards the posse. Posse's great. We know our stuff. I'm part of the posse too. Rod, just name a few names out there because Dutchie names them at the end. Roger, Michael, Martin, Clayton, everybody else in there, very knowledgeable. You all know dead cap, but the media is pumping it into fans around Denver area and Bronco fans that it's okay to get rid of Russell Wilson. Get rid of his contract. You're not getting rid of the contract. It's $40 million that's hurting your team. Okay, well, we can go get a $10 million quarterback. Yeah, but you need that $10 million for a position player somewhere else. Doesn't sound like much money, but you need that $10 million. Go get a wide receiver. There's names out there. Michael Pittman, Michael Evans is out there. Devontae Adams may be out there. Make a splash in free agency, running back. We may lose Saquon Barkley to our Giants. He may walk. We may not be able to bring him back. He's going to cost $10 million. You need a playmaker on your offense. Build your offensive line in free agency. It hasn't worked last year. You need to bring guard in or somebody else. Bring somebody in. That's going to cost money, and you're not going to have it. So, yes, I believe 100% Russell Wilson can come back, because how bad is it going to look for George Payton? He's coming back, and he's the reason why you're getting rid of Russell Wilson. He's the fault because he signed Russell Wilson. So he may need to step up and stop being the puppet and go to the Penners, and they sit down and say, Sean, you got to make it work because we're not losing Russ. So I do think he could be back.
Very good, man. I'm going to zip over to Albert here next on the same topic, but I do want to get caught up on a few comments. Eric is coming in here, and I believe he wants to get rid of Vance Joseph. If for those of you who may be just listening, I have an entire screen full of fire Vance Joseph. So we hear you, Eric. Not a big fan. So Roger's coming in here and saying pass rush is horrible, run stop is horrible. Man, work it out with Russell Wilson. Duran's coming in here. Duran Eddings coming in on Facebook saying, how do we have the 31st run defense? Because our inside linebackers suck. I would say that's a little bit more up on the front end. I would love to see a lot more tackles from a DJ Jones, a Mike Purcell, a Zach Allen, rather than Alex Singleton setting the tackle overall all-time tackle record for a Denver Bronco in a single season, going over 176 total tackles on the season this year with this game. Those linebackers are having to eat up what those defensive linemen aren't doing, in my opinion, Duran. So draft our future quarterback, I think, says a Facebook user. And I'm sorry, but I didn't have a moment to check out your name on the side. Duran's coming in and saying we need a darn right tackle. That would sure be nice. And unfortunately, we invested quite a bit in it. And then we're going to start getting into some draft talk here in a minute, so I'm going to hold off on the next comment. I'm going to shoot it up to Albert again, man. This offseason, first and foremost, and I didn't really think about this until Kenny was talking, we're the ones who have to cut bait with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has a no-trade clause. He's under contract. It's completely up to us whether we decide, no thanks, Russell Wilson, we're going to go ahead and we're going to let you go. So it's really just a decision of whether we do that. Do we do that to Russell Wilson, or is Russell Wilson coming back next year? And what do we need to do to improve this team, Albert?
Russ needs to come back. Letting him go somewhere else would be the stupidest thing that the Broncos have done in the last couple of years. We are on it for the money. And any team can, if we let Russ go, pick him up for $1 million, maybe $1.5 million, something like that, and the Broncos are going to pay for him. So that would be stupid. No, get rid of Stidham. He has proven that he is not even a backup quarterback, and let Ben DiNucci be the number 2 and draft a new quarterback. That would be, and let him sit for a year or 2. Because we have Russell for at least 2 seasons still. So let him sit. Let him practice. And do what Packers always have done. They did it with Rodgers. They've done it with Love. Mm-hmm. Let them sit a couple years behind the quarterback. Let them get acclimatized. get them the feel of the game, and then when it is the time, let the new QB run. Ben DiNucci is, in my opinion, a better backup quarterback than what we have seen from Stidham, and let's go that way.
It's funny. I kind of rolled my eyes when you kept talking about Ben DiNucci, but I'll be honest, kind of rolled my eyes at what I've seen from Jarrett Stidham the last couple of games as well. So head on over to our friend. I'm ready to launch, I'm sure. Russell Wilson, should he come back next year, Trevor? And what should we do to improve this team in the offseason? How do we go about it, buddy?
Yeah, I mean,
really quick. I got it up on the screen. Hello, Michelle. Michelle's coming in saying, evening, gents. Wow, that was painful. So evening to you as well. Get to some more comments in just a moment. Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, so I mean, should the Broncos keep Russell Wilson? Yeah, I mean, I never agreed with the option of Jared Stidham should be this team's quarterback going into next year. But I absolutely agree that Russ should be back. But is it going to happen? I don't think so. I think that relationship between him and Sean Payton has just kind of just gone. I think to this point. I mean, yeah, Sean can try to go back and try to fix it, but it's like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's a tough situation right now. Obviously, clearly, Jarrett Stidham isn't the guy. He can't be the guy going forward. I said that well before this game. He hasn't played a full season in the NFL. I know he's had 3 or 4 games underneath his belt, but that's still not enough for a full NFL season. So at that, I never agreed with Stidham being just the guy next year, anyways. And I don't think just drafting a quarterback at 12, where they're picking is the answer either. Because again, yeah, if you truly believe in that guy, then yes. But again, this roster has so many different holes. It's not just quarterback. We've got to start filling these other holes. Look at cornerback on the other side, Pat Surtain. Oh, what did Fabian Moreau look like today? He got beat deep. McMillan did not have a great game today. You're going to have to find another guy on the other side of PS2 because teams are not going to pick on PS2 that often. So again, you're going to have to find that as well. And that adds another hole that you're going to have to fill with this roster. That's why I say trade back, get more assets so you can have more bites at the apple to make this roster better around. Again, it's not a one-man sport. It's a team sport. You have to have a team around your quarterback to win. So this is what I'm saying. Is like we can talk about quarterback when we want. Yeah, Rush should be back, but he's likely not sure right now. Again, honestly, we're going to have to see what the options are out there. But I want the rest of this roster to improve as well because it's right now. I mean, this game showed you have many holes. I think throughout this whole season, you have many holes. It isn't just quarterback. So, Russell Wilson be back. I sure hope so because I think it's what's best for this team as well. And he's not the problem, so why get rid of him now? But again, I'm not sure that Sean Payton, he's stubborn enough that I could see him getting rid of Russ anyways.
Martin's coming in here saying, I agree with Kenny. The Bronco ownership need to tell Sean Payton to do his job and get Russ up to speed. You guys, I'm gonna put this back around, all his comments just in a second, but it made me think about it when I asked you, Trevor, and I'll bring it all the way back around the same way we just did, starting off with Kenny. What happens if the Denver Broncos just don't cut Russell Wilson? Again, this is what we're talking about. If they just don't cut Russell Wilson, why is that not just an option? I mean, he's under contract. He's on this team. Do you think, given everything that's happened, that Russ would then want to get out of Denver and demand to be traded or to be cut?
I think. Oh, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, buddy. Because those are the two options.
There's a couple desperate teams out there that I think are close if they go get a quarterback, and that could be the best option. And I'm not saying keep Russ. If there's a trade partner, trade him. Trade him immediately. I'm saying it's bad for the Broncos to just get rid of $85 million on a team that's nowhere close, in my opinion, with the roster you have now to contending for a Super Bowl. And you're going to put yourself not 1 year behind. Everybody's saying, "Oh, 1 year, we'll suffer next year." Why is it only 1 year? You're going to suffer for 4 or 5 years if you do this, in my opinion. And I hope I'm wrong. I pray I'm wrong. For the Bronco fans, because I love all you guys, audience. I love everybody. You guys have been great to me, and I want to see you guys succeed out there in Denver. I truly do. But to answer your question, the Falcons kind of a desperate team. They're very close in that they got a lot of playmakers out there. They need a quarterback. Do they want to go rookie, or do they want to maybe go and, hey, we'll give you a fourth or fifth round pick for Russell Wilson. We'll take that contract off your hands. Boom. Instantly, Russ, you're going to go to Atlanta. Are you okay with that? Russ is going to say yes, and it's done. So that would be I would be pushing for a trade, even if it's for a 7th round pick. Get out of it. Get out of the deal. That's the way you want to get out of it. Get out of it. But do not release him and dead cap $85 million. That'd be the worst mistake I think I've seen in history since I've been following cap figures, which has been about 20 years, learning about the cap figures. So it's the worst I've seen. If they get rid of him, by far. Falcons got rid of Matt Ryan. It was like a $42 million cap hit. They haven't recovered from it. Now you're looking at $85 million, guys. How do you think you're going to recover from $85 million?
Albert, 5th day of the league year comes around, and Russell Wilson is either going to be due $37 million in a injury bonus and be part of this football team, or he's going to be cut prior to then. Do you think it makes sense to try to keep Russ on this roster and force him to either play backup? If nothing else, you're getting something out of him, or for him to say, I would like to get out of here. Please find me a trade partner. I will waive my no trade clause. It doesn't make more sense to go that way. I'm just trying to weigh through all the options here of how do we get through this, because it would be great to have him back, but do you think it's too sour at this point? Do you think Russ would demand a trade at this point if we tried to keep him on this roster?
If Russ is smart, then he does not demand a trade if he is smart. And because that gives him the most money. And
well, no, he could demand a trade, and the money would still be the same. It'd just be who would be paying it. Maybe they're paying for a little bit of it. Maybe we're paying for it. Maybe they're paying all of it, and we got a 7th round draft pick just to be done with Russ. He's still going to get his money no matter where he goes. So we don't have to worry about that. But if we say, hey, Russ, okay, we've gone ahead and we've signed that check, the $37 million, and now we're going to go ahead and have you on this roster, would Russ want to trade and get out of Denver, or does he stay here and possibly even play QB2 under Sean Payton?
I don't think that if I would be Russ, I would play under those circumstances. You don't want to be. He is too proud to be QB2 for a long time. He wants to play, and he has the heart to play, and he has the capability to play. So why not? He wants to play. And I don't think he wants to be a QB2. So for Russ, it would be better if he could get traded. But if they can find a system here with the Broncos that plays to his strengths, and we have not seen that yet, we could be a Super Bowl contender. But it has to be a scheme that fits Russell Wilson and not a Sean Payton system.
But I gotta push back on this whole Sean Payton system. We're 8th in the league as far as running is concerned. So we're running the ball a ton. That's a Sean Payton a Russell Wilson type of system. We got to have a commitment to the run game, and we continue to do that. We go out and we invest the most in the offseason of any team, and mainly that was in offensive linemen in front of Russell Wilson and run blocking guys in order to do so. I just don't I don't see this being a Sean Payton system where you see him, the quarterback is expected to be throwing it all over the field all the time. It can't be the case if we're number 8th in the league as far as running is concerned. Yeah. And I know that Russell Wilson ran the ball a lot, but we also saw where Jarrett Stidham didn't have to run the ball a lot and came out with similar statistics of what we've seen in the same system that Russell Wilson was put in. So where has Russell Wilson been wronged in this offense, I guess, is the biggest question for me.
We have seen many games that he played, that he hit a pass for more than 60%. That was more than half of the games. That is not a run offense first.
But we're 8th in the league. 8th in the
Well,
league. I mean, top
then-
5. We need to be in top 5 in order for it to be more of a Russ's offense. I don't know.
Then maybe the entire league is shifting to a more
Pass heavy league.
pass heavy league, and that doesn't work all the way. But we have seen with the better teams. Look at the Bills. They started running the ball and they start winning the games again.
Mhm.
They won a game with only 90 passing yards. And Josh Allen is a great passer.
I agree.
He can make any throw. So the top leagues are running the ball a lot. So
Along with the Denver Broncos. We ran it 20 times for 68 yards. Now, I can't say that we were lighting it up as far as running, but Sean Payton certainly hasn't shied away from it. I mean, we might not be getting the job done up front, but I just don't see where Sean Payton is lining everyone up 5 wide and having his wide receiver, cut out of the backfield, and we're trying to press down the field all the time, and developing this Sean Payton high flying offense that it doesn't curtail to Russell Wilson. We're running the ball. We have the hydro. We have 3 running backs. We invest in running offensive linemen and Mike McGlinchey, Ben Powers. It's tough to say that. I maybe I'm wrong. Trevor, help me out with this, man. Is this a Sean Payton offense? Is this a Russell Wilson offense? Has Sean Payton tried? And I guess to get all the way back around, because I should allow you the same answer to the question that I gave to these guys as well. So,
no, I mean, I think we run the ball, but I don't think we run the ball efficient. I mean, there's a difference when, I wouldn't say like we're a pass heavy team. Again, you're gonna have to run the ball with Russell Wilson. It's just when he's been more successful. Look, his years back in Seattle, he had Marshawn, and had Pete Carroll, which was run heavy offense first. And so I just think we haven't seen the production from the running backs. I mean, and just from running the ball in general. I mean, again, 48 rushing yards today and 20 attempts, and then 34 passing attempts, and then 34 passing attempts. So, I mean, today we see more of a Sean Payton offense, I would say, especially in that first half. It just didn't work because he knew Stidham couldn't run it. So then he had to flip back to run the football again, and then you just don't have it. So then you put your quarterback in a difficult situation. I think it's personnel around Sean Payton and Russ Wilson is a problem. Like, I don't think Russ is the problem. I don't think he is the solution necessarily. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback, but I think he's more than manageable. And I think it's been more of a talent perspective around Russell Wilson and the defense of the ball too. That's where I think the problem is. I think that gets I'm not saying the Broncos don't have talent, but they just don't have enough. And when you're giving up picks left and right, first and second round draft picks left and right, really hard to build a team that it can be a playoff team. And again, you're just expecting Russell Wilson to be productive when you give up all that for him. And again, it was a miscalculation of where this roster was at. That's why I blame on George Payton. I will put that blame on George Payton. When he traded for Russell Wilson, he miscalculated where this roster was at, and it's costing this team because you've given up picks after picks after picks for a head coach. When that was ownership. That wasn't George Payton. That was ownership to give up the picks for Sean Payton versus second round draft pick. But that was George Payton who traded for Russell Wilson. So that's miscalculations on ownership and George Payton that's putting this team in a real difficult situation. So that will get you in trouble, and you just need, this team needs more talent. That's what it is, and that's not just what it is, but that's, I think, a big problem of why we're seeing this team just can't get over that hump right now.
I think if I was going to put a little bit of onus on anybody, it would be George Payton. If you look at George Payton, he's constantly tried to get ahead of the market on contracts. He did it with Cortland Sutton. He did it with Tim Patrick. He did it with Russell Wilson. He tried to get in front of the market because he thought this wide receiver market was going to continue to explode, which it didn't. It fell completely off. He wanted to get in front of the quarterback market because we saw Deshaun Watson getting a fully guaranteed contract. So he thought he was pretty dang smart getting Russell Wilson in underneath this contract. These are contracts that haven't been good. They haven't worked out. They haven't been valuable to the Denver Broncos. We paid for past production and not for future performance, and that's where we're at. We need to pay these guys what they're worth when they're there. and we've just gotten too far out in front of it, in my opinion.
I would
Duran,
say,
I want to hit the. Go ahead, buddy, and then
No,
I
I
got
was
to
just
get
gonna
the comments.
No, I was just gonna say real quickly. I mean, we can blame George Payton for trading for Russ Wilson, but again, that contract, I think some of that blame was on ownership as well because they signed off on that contract. So that's part of it as well. That's why I say I blame George Payton for trading for Russ Wilson, but for the contract purposes, I think it's also you have to put that blame on ownership. And now you're seeing that with Sean Payton now, where they had to give up a premium and they paid Sean Payton $18 million and it's not panned out at all. And you have a middle tier offense right now with this team, and you thought you were getting that offensive mastermind. Well, he's not been that right now. That's a problem. So I think that's why I say it's ownership too.
A good GM tells an owner who doesn't know anything about football how to develop these contracts and how to put them together. Don't give George Payton a pass just because he's passively in this whole, relationship, Sean Payton and ownership, and the owners are big and Sean Payton is big, and there sits poor little George Payton. Well, George Payton, as Kenny said, needs to grow a pair and be part of the decision making, in my opinion. And right now, I think he's put us in a bad position by recommending a $250 million contract or $18 million a year to Sean Payton, or trading picks in order to get Sean Payton, or you name it. It's got to lay on his head just a little bit. I don't care. If we had a strong GM in the house, then this wouldn't be a problem, in my opinion, because the owners would have listened to what he did, what he thought was best. And if this is what he thought was best, then he's got to be in the crosshairs. Simple as that. I want to hit the comments just really quick, guys, and then get back to the conversation. Virgil's coming in here and saying, hey, from Manchester, England, brothers. Well, hello to you, Virgil. Mr. Virgil Kane coming in on Facebook. Love to see new faces. I want to just clarify really quick too. I was kind of putting this in the worst case scenario. I don't think that Russell Wilson's a QB2 either on this roster. I think if you bring him back next year, he's a QB1 on this roster. I just wanted to say, in the worst case scenario, in order to maybe facilitate a trade, telling him he might be competing for that QB1 might make him want to, exit and maybe get a trade for his wares, I guess you could say. Duran's coming in here. Another thing, don't look at me how many times we run the ball. Look at how many rushing touchdowns we have. And I kind of was baiting you guys, and I appreciate it. Like I said, trenches. I think that's where our investment needs to happen. We can continue to run into the back of our offensive linemen who don't move an inch and get 2 yards per carry and never get rushing touchdowns. That's going to be a recipe for disaster no matter what, in my opinion. Eric's coming in here in agreement saying, get rid of George Payton. He got us into this mess. Eric said Walter and Penner are the Monforts 2.0. Don't say that.
I don't know about
Please.
No. That's untrue.
Graham's coming in here and saying, I think a lot of people overvalue George.
No, that's it. That could be it too. Because Penner has final say. Sorry.
Unfortunately, McGlinchey wasn't playing, Graham, but Crosby ate Fleming alive. I'll agree with that. So Graham's also saying this might be a surprise. We need a new right tackle. Seems like that's a constant rotation. Guys, a couple of things, and I want to get your opinions on this. I'm going to go around the horn because I think we made it convoluted, and we'll make it real simple. Is there a possibility of Russell Wilson being our quarterback next year? I'm going to start off with Albert.
Absolutely, there's a possibility. The financial burden is too big to let him go, to just cut him. And I'd rather have him on the roster and play for another year or 2 years than just wasting the $85 million. That's what we say. And do nothing but pretty much throw it away, burn it up. So I'd sure hope so.
I sure hope so. I know there's just so much in play, man. Like I said, there's maybe some bitterness. I'm going to head down to Trevor. Trevor, simply, is there a possibility of Russell Wilson being a quarterback for the Denver Broncos in 2024?
I mean, there's a possibility. I wouldn't say it's a strong possibility right now. I think, but there's a possibility. I just think Sean Payton has his own quarterback in mind, and that's not Russell Wilson. To put it short.
I'm going to go back around. I'm going to start with Albert. Probable or possible?
Probable.
All right. Trevor, probable or possible?
Possible.
Possible. Kenny, probable or possible?
With Albert, probable. After what I've seen the last
Probable.
2 weeks, probable. Can I just say one thing about Russell Wilson real quick?
Yes, by all means, Kenny. I've been talking too much.
No. We brought up the Russian stats, okay? Well, some people in this chat are going to like these stats that I throw out about Russell Wilson, and this is why I think he is probable. 2 weeks ago, he got benched against the Patriots, 26 touchdowns. I'm looking at the stats today. He's still 9th in the league in touchdowns with only 8 interceptions. Top 10 quarterback, benched 2 weeks ago. So add 3 touchdowns to that. He's got 3 or 4 touchdowns. He's got 30 touchdowns. He's closer to top 5 now in touchdowns on a team that's lacking playmakers, as everybody's been saying all year, lacking the playmakers besides Sutton. Red zone efficiency, top 5 quarterback all year. Those are 2 stats I like from my quarterback going forward. And those are stats that Mr. Sean Payton needs to see. And if he doesn't get it, I know it may be too soon to get rid of him, but maybe it's possible Sean Payton's gone, probable Russell Wilson's back. And you can't lose to the Jets, Commanders, Raiders, and Patriots at home, and then beat the Browns, Bills, Packers, and Chiefs and say it's the quarterback's problem. You beat 4 playoff teams in that 5-game stretch. And I'm not saying Russell Wilson's the only reason, but he's not the reason why you lost these games. If he's not the only reason you won the game, he's not the only reason you lost the games. Russell Wilson needs to be back, and I'm going to say it's probable he is back by this disaster performance you've seen in the last 2 weeks.
I'm going to answer my own question now. I think it's absolutely possible, and this is the reason why. Think about it in this way. Sean Payton comes out. Don't get me wrong. I think there's pressures. Hey, man, we have $37 million on the line. If this guy gets hurt, we're going to be on the hook regardless for this $37 million, man. Are we sure this is the way we want to go? Okay, well, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at our backup. Let's see if he can get a spark out of this team, right? Let's see if there's something else there. We haven't looked all year. We can go ahead and we can put Russell on ice for a couple of games, and we can see. And what the heck did we see? What the heck did we see? I'll go ahead and I'll agree with what Jody had put up here, and I'll see if I can put it up here. But, another nice game of a QBR in the 30s for Jarrett Stidham is what we ended up with. Good friend Jody Moncrief, of course, typical co-host on the Denver Bronco Roundup Podcast every Tuesday at 7 p.m. So look for him to come in here and vent his own opinions in person. But, yeah, Jarrett Stidham didn't look good. And if there was any possibility, plausibility, probability that Russell Wilson would be able to come back in, well, I think Sean Payton, whether he did it purposefully or whether it just ended up being the way it happened, Jarrett Stidham kind of stunk up the joint and made it every option and possibility for Russell Wilson to come back in here. Because let's face it, guys, if Jarrett Stidham would have went out there and had, as Kurt Valente, our good friends, the other K on the K&K Sports Show said, if he goes out there and he puts up 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 games back to back, oh, we got a problem now. We got a problem as far as Russell Wilson coming back in the fold to the Denver Broncos. We got a problem as far as 80-some million dead cap that we had to start eating. That's a guarantee at that point. But the way that we looked, the way that the Denver Broncos looked, the way that Jarrett Stidham looked, that doesn't look like a reasonable option. So why would you cut Russell Wilson? If there's any glimmer of hope in that relationship between Russell Wilson, Sean Payton, George Payton, Walton Penner ownership group, man, you got to take that little ember and you need to start blowing on that little ember and turn it back into a fire and get this thing rolling, man, because I think that's your best option by far. and I think it's probable, possible. I hope it happens. So, gonna hit the comments just really quick. Randy's text Hines is coming in here. Brand new name in here from looks like we're from Texas. If it looks like would be my guess, but everyone needs to go and start over. The GM is a joke. Sean is a joke, and the owners know nothing about football. Get real. We're a long ways away from the days when football and ownership and everything was tied so closely together. A long way, I hate to say it, but a long ways away from those Al Davis type of days. You know what I mean? Where the owner knows everything about the team and maybe even pulling the shots and he's hanging out in the locker room and you name it. So, going to hit Roger. First and foremost, get the morale back in the locker room. Benching Russell Wilson took a hit. If you move on from Russell Wilson, how do you keep morale? Duran's coming in here and saying Russell Wilson is the best quarterback for this team because the O-line stinks and his mobility helps him. One of the things I'm worried about is that Russell Wilson mobility, whether he utilizes it sometimes for good or for bad, and quite honestly, how much longer he'll continue to have it. I loved dynamic Russ when he was young. He used to be able to get it done for sure. Facebook shooter coming in and saying Stidham was a waste of 2 weeks. Gentlemen, we're almost about 46 minutes in on this post game, man. I know that we'll be talking a lot of off season in the future, but I think I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start wrapping up for this show. If you have any burning thoughts, comments, questions, please by all means get it in. But I'm going to start off with Albert because I really haven't given you guys just open mic for your thoughts, questions, comments. Albert, what else do we have to say before we get out of here tonight, man? And this isn't goodbye, so don't think that we have to say that.
What do we need to do? Do we need to keep Sean Payton? Is he the problem in this entire Broncos roster? Is he the problem? I don't think that Fiji is the problem. Fiji is trying really hard, but he doesn't have all the tools that he needs. That is part of Sean Payton too. He should have done a little bit better in getting players for the D-line. Sean Payton didn't do it. Sean Payton got Mike McGlinchey. Mike McGlinchey, for his style that he was going to play, was not a good fit. If you have a run-heavy team, Mike McGlinchey would have been better.
It's what we want.
That is what we want. That is what we thought it always was going to look like. You get Ben Powers, a run defender. Mike McGlinchey, run defender. So that is what we were going to, and we didn't do that. So I think a lot of the problems here starts with the head coach, and I think that is where we should have a closer look as well. Are we moving on from Sean Payton? That should be a question for the owners.
Everything on the table, man. We want some of us don't want Russ here. Some of us don't want George here. Some of us don't want Sean here. We're all searching for answers, man. I tell you. Trevor, what do we need to talk about before we get out of here, man? Anything you got on the topics?
I mean, I'm just going to say, again, George Payton won't be gone because there's reports of Ian Rappaport reported this morning that he wasn't going to be gone. That was before any games even started. Even if they wanted to fire George Payton, they wouldn't do it right now. They're right in the middle of evaluating draft prospects. And so if we would see George Payton gone, it would be probably in July or August, not after the draft. But again, him and Payton's relationship are supposed to be pretty strong. So I want to put that news out there today. Again, take it forever, whatever you want. I think Sean Payton will still have final say over everything. Again, that's a problem. That's something I agree with. I think that's a problem because I don't like my head coach having any sort of, having final say on personnel. But again, that to me is on ownership. So here's the thing: what's wrong with this team? I'll start off with ownership. Ownership controls this all. It's Greg Penner's final say. Whatever happens, it's not Sean Payton's final say. It's not George Payton's final say. It is Greg Penner's final say with everything. So Sean Payton has control over this roster. That's a Greg Penner thing. That's what he did when he empowered Payton to do that. As soon as he traded for him, the first, second round draft pick, and gave him all that money, empowered him to have final sound personnel with this roster. So to me, that's why I don't blame George Paton on that, because again, you have ownership that it's having Sean Payton be the guy that's in charge. He's over. So Greg Penner's gonna have final say regardless. So George Paton either doesn't want a job or he's just gonna be the second hand man to Sean Payton. So there's that. And then again, on the field, I mean, go down the list: defensive line, tight end, wide receiver, inside linebacker, cornerback. I mean, you can go down the list. There's so many different holes this roster needs. That's why I'm saying a bridge quarterback would be nice. If that's Russell Wilson or not, because you have to start addressing these other holes in this roster. I mean, it ain't just quarterback, and it's not going to be just quarterback. You're going to have to fill these other holes and find a quarterback that can at least be serviceable. And I think that's why I think Russell Wilson can be that for this team. I want Russell Wilson on this roster. Do I think it's going to happen? I'm not sure, because I think that Sean Payton's stubborn. So I think he wants his own quarterback. We've seen it with Jarrett Stidham. Now to his credit, he didn't move off Russell Wilson until the team basically was out of the playoffs. So to his credit, he didn't do it when this team had a real shot. So, but again, I don't know if that relationship can be reconciled. I don't know if that's possible. I hope it is. I want Russell Wilson back in Denver Bronco uniform, and I don't think he's going to be traded. I think he's going to be cut, but because again, why would Russell Wilson want to help the Denver Broncos by taking less money? He's going to have to reconstruct his contract for a team to take him on. They're not going to take on the money that he's owed right now. Why would any team want to do that when they can just get him for nothing on the free agency market? So, a lot of questions we'll go through this offseason, but there's a lot of questions. It's many different levels. It's not just one in particular person, or no. It's just starts from ownership on down. George Paton, Sean Payton, Russell Wilson. It's it all. I mean, it's a fiasco right now, and we'll see how it trickles down throughout the offseason, but there's a lot to unpack.
A lot to unpack, man. Just a couple of comments really quick. Graham said, when is the absolute latest they have to decide on Wilson? Well, as Martin points out, and I'll bring his comment up in a second, he's under contract. I mean, the next big decision point is the 5th day of the league year. That's when that $37 million becomes absolutely guaranteed regardless. It's the $37 million they want him to push back or maybe take a seat on the bench. The part of the contract that quite honestly started all the drama in Denver. That being said, that's the only really deadline that they have. As Martin says, Graham, there shouldn't be any timeline on Wilson because we're paying him regardless. Graham is saying because Wilson hasn't looked that much better that obviously than a Jarrett Stidham. Stats will obviously maybe look a little bit different on that. I still think from what we saw, and again, what we're losing, I'd much rather have Russell Wilson here. Kenny, again, first, I usually do this right off the bat, buddy, but tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do other than appear on our fantastic Denver Bronco Roundup podcast, because you have another little thing on the side that's fantastic and amazing as well. And then, again, your thoughts on anything that you want to get out about this Denver Bronco team.
I'll mention the shows real quick because I do want to talk about something real quick. But K&K Sports Show, we're based out of New York, East Coast. Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. You can catch us. We're transitioning to more of an open agenda type show. So we're improv. Anything you guys want to talk about, you bring it to us and we'll come at you. We got our list of topics, but our audience comes first. So anything you guys want to talk about, bring it to us. Put us on the spot. We'll answer your questions and give you guys our opinions. It's fun. It's fast paced, and we'll keep it going East Coast style. My co-host Kurt Valenti, huge Bronco fan. That's how we all got to meet. He has an East Coast Bronco show, and I know some people don't like the guy. Some people like him. He had a guest on the other day, James Marilat. They talked about the whole Russell Wilson thing. Go check it out. He called out Keith, but at the end, I don't know if you guys caught the very end, he acknowledged you guys once again, everybody in the audience, James Marilat that is, and said it's all about the debate. You know, the audience was very knowledgeable, and right or wrong. There's no right or wrong right now. He brought up a good point. No right or wrong. It's opinions right now, and that's all that matters. And, you know, debates will get heated sometimes. So hats off to James Marilat for acknowledging everybody in our audience. But, yeah, check that out if you guys are interested. And then we got a Giants one that I do and a Wits and Wagers type show, which is sports betting. Kurt's show can be seen 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Martin sent a comment out earlier, not too long ago, about Sean Payton. If a coach wants to coach Russ, well, I don't think Payton's gone this year, unfortunately. But here's my question to all of you guys and everybody in the audience. This goes backwards next year. If this goes backwards and you lose 11, 12 games next year, is Sean Payton going to want to stay? And then who the heck are you bringing in if you're in salary cap hell because you're in the hole with Russell Wilson's contract?
Mm-hmm.
That's the point I want to make with that. Like, you may have to think about moving on from Payton if he can't work with Russ. I know it's soon. It's possible. It's possible. And I know the name out there is Harbaugh. No, not for me. Harbaugh, I think, is coming to the NFL. But why do that? I bring in a guy like Dan Quinn, defensive guy with a high offensive coordinator like a Schottenheimer. Bring him in to coach Russ. And maybe now you got something. Maybe now you're building up something there. You're going to have a good defense with Dan Quinn, and you're going to bring in a high respected offensive coordinator. That's the way I would go with that. And I think it's, like I said, I've been beating a dead horse. I think it's totally a mistake. You need offensive line help. You're not going to get an offensive lineman for $1 million if you give up Russ. You need a wide receiver. You're not going to get a wide receiver for $1 million if you give up Russ. And you need a running back. You're not going to get a $1 million running back. So what are you going to do if you get rid of Russ? You're going to need all these things with a guy who's making $5 million, Jarrett Stidham, and there's a reason why he's making $5 million in a league that averages $40 million, guys. And ladies and gentlemen, I should say.
I appreciate it, Kenny. Check out the K&K Sports Show. They absolutely have been on fire as of lately, tearing it up on the internet, burning it down. I think they crashed a couple of servers all along the way. So K&K Sports Show, fantastic stuff they got going on over there. Whether it be the All Broncos, the Wits and Wagers, the Potpourri Show, I don't know what else to call it, man. I'm telling you what, it's fantastic stuff.
I do want to say thank you for always having me on, and you guys have all been on our shows and always welcome. So you can come check out Keith, Dutchie, Trevor, and Jody on our shows as well.
Awesome, man. Listen, plugging both ways, man. I love it, man. Thank you, Kenny. No joke, man. Fantastic stuff. I always love to tune in. I'm not tuning in for any reason other than the fact that these guys put out fantastic content. They have great conversations, and they're an amazing podcast. Love the East Coast flavor, man. Love the East Coast flavor. So now it is about time to do some final goodbyes. I'm going to go right back around the horn, but I'm going to start it right there with Kenny Kirkpatrick, man. Give us some final thoughts. Get us out of here, Kenny. I'll hit Trevor and I'll hit Albert on the way out, man.
Final thoughts, guys. It's 2024. Let's look to the off season. It's the new year. Okay. Bring Russ back. That's the way to go. Do not go into salary cap hell no matter what your coach wants. It's salary cap hell, $85 million for 2 years. It's salary cap hell for a team that's not close to a Super Bowl yet. Get close to a Super Bowl by building your roster. You're not going to build it by getting rid of your highest paid guy. And audience, I know Albert's going to acknowledge them, but you guys are awesome. I saw a lot of love for me. Greatly appreciate you guys out there. And I'll be back again. It's just the off season now, but I'll be back. I'll be back with these guys quite often. Love you guys and love the audience as well.
Changing from the stepfather to the Terminator, I'll be back. Yes, Kenny will be back. We'll see him here again shortly. We'll have him invited back. Trevor, man, give us some final thoughts. Help get us out of here.
Yeah, Kenny, I just want to thank you for joining us. We love having you on here. We absolutely love your shows and love being on your shows. So you guys are all great over there at KK. You guys are amazing. You guys are legends in our minds. So we just want to thank everybody for joining us here as well. Our final post-game show of the year, of the season. So I just want to thank all of you guys for being here and being awesome. You guys are amazing. Again, we're always doing the best we can for you guys because Broncos country deserves the best. You all deserve the best. So we're going to be here and do our very best for you guys. Just final thoughts again on the season. Again, it's a new year. I know that it just seems really down right now. A lot of different question marks and stuff that we discussed tonight and going forward. But again, the tides will turn. again, we'll get back there. It's just going to take time. And again, I know we don't like hearing that, taking time, because we've been waiting for 7 years now, but 7 seasons. But no, but just again, keep your head up, continue to be positive, because that's the only way. Positive is the only way, and just support each other, and just stay tuned this offseason. There's going to be different moves going to be out there. We'll see how this roster looks. I hope Russ is back as well, and hopefully this team can put together a winner. That's what we all want in the day. Want this team to put together a winner and go out there and just make the playoff first and foremost, and then what happens after that happens after that. And again, go Broncos, and thank you guys for everything, all the support this season, because we've been doing pregame and postgame shows and everything like that in our regular show. So thank you guys for the support, and love you guys. Go Broncos.
Love you guys. Go Broncos, man. No better way to end it like that. But yeah, a lot of good things said there. Appreciate you, Trevor, and appreciate you being part of this post-game wrap-up that we've been doing most of the season. So thank you very much, man. You've been a regular here. Always a regular on the Tuesday night show, the Denver Bronco Roundup Podcast. And, of course, been able to stop by a few times, Mr. Albert Mile High Dutchy. Albert, help get us out of here. What do you got for us, man?
Just to train Kenny on Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.
I'm gonna work on it, Albert.
Before I go into my final comments, I want to thank everybody who was in the chat. For me, we had several new names on there. There was Eric Zamora, Duran Eddings, Virgil Kane, and Randy Tex Heinze. Those were some new names that I have not seen before. I also want to thank Adam and Kayla, Ernie, Roger, Clayton, Martin, my lovely wife, Jody, Patrick, Graham, Big Sis, Matt Staffiero was there, Pearl and Michael. Really, we really appreciate us coming in on the show. It makes our lives much more interesting and entertaining, and it helps us to have a nice conversation. My last thoughts on this season. I think we need to get rid of Sean Payton. I think he is a problem at this moment. The team, do we have some holes in on offense and defense? Absolutely, but that could have been, a lot of them could have been resolved with really good head coaching. And Dan Quinn, if we get a Dan Quinn, great. But what I would like to see coming back is Skanks, Rick Scangarello, and have him as our offensive coordinator, because he made some big plays. And even with anybody who counted Drew Lock off, he had a really good system for Drew Lock that worked for Drew Lock. And I think Skanks could create a system that will work really well for Russell Wilson. And that's where I want to leave it for this season, because we are up to the new season.
Well,
Keith, can I get 10 seconds? I really forgot something that I think is important.
Yeah, take 15.
Tomorrow's the national championship, and there's 2 quarterbacks there. Now, if the Broncos move on from Russ, I think one of these 2 guys could be your guy. So if you're not doing anything tomorrow night, 8 p.m., watch Michigan and J.J. McCarthy versus Michael Penix and the University of Washington, because I think if they do go rookie, it could be one of those 2 guys.
Good point. There's been a lot of love in Broncos country for one Michael Penix. So I think there's going to be some people tuning in. But yeah, don't forget about the other side of the ball. Now, I know that J.J. McCarthy, last I heard, hadn't officially declared. Is that correct? So we're still waiting on that one. And if that's the case, then there'll be one more quarterback in the mix and a possibility for the Denver Broncos, especially if we move on. What I think these final comments showed is a few things. A, we love you guys. Thank you guys, every single one of you, for showing up, for showing out, for being part of our shows. Week in, week out, we've been doing 3 shows a week now. And man, whether it be supporters like that we've known and we love, like Pearl and Michael and Onkyo and Clayton and all those, all the regulars. I know I'm going to miss out some names, or the brand new ones that seem to keep coming in every single week, man. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. We're here for you, man. We wouldn't be here without you. We appreciate you guys' support and love the comments and all the questions that you guys come in with. You guys are knowledgeable. You know what you're talking about, and we love having the conversation. Second it's going to be a heck of an offseason. We've heard anything from the coach to the quarterback to who we're drafting to from a quarterback to offensive line to defensive line to moves galore. It's going to be a fun one, guys. Offseason, unfortunately, has been more fun than the regular season for the Denver Broncos, as there's a lot more hope in the offseason than what we've been seeing play out on the field as of lately. But that being said, guys, I know that we've been doing a post game. I know we've been doing a pregame. And of course, we have our fantastic original show on Tuesdays. We're going to try to keep up this 3-show rotation throughout the week. We're not going to probably be doing a post-game show because there's no post-game, and no pregame because there's no pregame, but we're going to get you 3 shows a week. So just stay tuned. You'll see that all play out. Of course, don't forget Denver Bronco Roundup original 7 o'clock Tuesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's when you're guaranteed to catch us. It's going to be our next show. I can tell you that right now. So watch out for that, guys. We appreciate you guys a ton. Again, thank you guys so much for all the support. Watch for those shows coming up. Kenny, thank you guys. Thank you so much for being a co-host being the stepfather for the entire second half of the season, at least, it seemed like, for us, and coming in and being part of the show. You've been fantastic and been loved by the posse, being loved by the chat group, man. So we got to keep you on here, man. Keep our viewership way up.
Is that good, Albert? I'll be back.
Well, we'll all keep working on it, guys. Just like the Broncos will keep working too, man. But guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get out of here. I'm going to get you out of here like I always do. Remember to keep your boots in your stirrups. Keep your guns in your holsters. Keep the Broncos in your heart. And until next time, guys, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much. Good night.